All right, fire away.
Zach, when did Jermaine get hurt, and what is he dealing with?
It might have been during the game, some swelling, and so it'll be day to day. He'll do some rehab work on the rehab field today, which will be inside, so that'll be outside. And then we'll see if we can't get him in this next tranche of practice we got.
Did anything flare up, I think, on Saturday?
Well, it would have been, I mean, if it happened during the game, that's one of those things you don't really, you play the game and then you come up the next day, it's an off day. So, I mean, he reported it, and so we knew. I know it caught you all off guard, but, you know, it's all good. He's doing everything he can to get back on the field.
Coach, what do you think of the Cincinnati Open last night?
It's a great event. You know, I've been a couple times over the years, and I think all the upgrades they made were fantastic. My wife goes a lot. Unbelievable tennis. You know, gets a chance to see the number one player in the world play is pretty spectacular. Some of the serves by him and the opponent that went to UK almost hit us, you know, on some of the faults that almost got up in the stands. So that would have been exciting if one had caught BJ back there behind me. I was kind of pulling for that, so that was kind of a side thing going on because he kept saying he could return some of those serves pre-match, and then post-match I'm sure he still maintains that. But, man, I would pay great money to watch that. BJ out there return the serves from center.
You guys are trying to tweak schemes in the run game and your offense, of course, the offseason. How challenging is your guys' tight end room to figure out how to use? Is it more challenging because of Gesicki and Hudson are so different than Sample and Grandy, and you have these very different types of tight ends and not as many guys that do everything? How challenging was that, and how did you kind of approach that process?
I don't think it's challenging is not the word I would use. You know, it's we've had a lot of these guys over the years now, so we've gotten comfortable with what our offensive identity is and how we utilize guys to their strengths, and also understanding, trying to cover up tendencies where we can to make sure it's not always, you know, obvious the direction you're headed. I think it's not unique to tight end rooms across the league. I think we've been fortunate that we've got real weapons in the pass game in there that not everybody has. And I also think Drew Sample's arguably the top point of attack blocker and protector in football. You know, I wouldn't trade him out for anybody in that regard. So we got a really good blend of guys, and it's just up to us to continue to be creative in how we utilize them and how we combine them when they're both in there. 2 or 3 are in there. When just one's in there, what are we doing? So it's been fun. It hasn't. I wouldn't say challenge. It's been really fun to find ways to utilize a lot of guys who continue to earn opportunity. There's guys in that room that a lot of them are earning opportunity, and we're trying to find ways to utilize that.
How do you not tip tendencies when, you know, everybody knows, like Mike is, you know, I think
Yeah.
protected like 11 plays last year, but like, I mean, how do you try to do, like, how can you do
There's going to be percentage tendencies, no doubt. But again, if you can find ways to get up to that 20% where it casts out, then you can't just hone it. You don't want anything to be 100%. That's what you don't want. But when everything's that 10 to 20%, then there's got to be that doubt in your mind. There's also times we lean into it and we say, we're throwing the ball. Here we go. So that doesn't, you know, those are just ways we continue to try to be efficient and explosive. And those tight ends have been a big part of why we've been able to do that because the roles that they all play.
Al talked about when he got here, he didn't want to just plop in a defense and say, this is what you're doing. How have you seen the collaboration of the whole defensive coaching staff impact what this is becoming?
Every second of every day. I don't know what the word is I was trying to grab there, but continuous. I mean, those guys are always together, always meeting, always talking, always evolving, always problem solving, trying to utilize our personnel in the best possible way, try to find solutions against the offense they're going against, future offenses they're going to face. So I think they've done a great job with the collaboration in that room of just every single day trying to make sure our defense improves and gets better and problem solves and give those guys tools to be able to solve problems on the field themselves. Al's really been big into that, and those guys have done a good job utilizing that. So it's been really fun for me to watch just the work that they have put in because it's been tireless work since February to get this thing right, and I'm excited about the direction we're headed.
Having a staff with so many different backgrounds, what does that do?
It's good because guys have all run into different sets of problems and ways to solve them and things that are good against this offense and this player. And So it's a lot of good conversation. Al's the decision maker. You know, obviously you can take all the ideas in the world, but at some point you got to say, here's what we're doing. And Al's been great at that. But he's also been great at empowering those guys and giving them the opportunity to speak and show what they know, because it's a really solid room from top to bottom. I mean, you know, all the guys with the experience in that room and you know, our guys who do more of the quality control work, Mike Moon and Ronnie Regula, those are outstanding football coaches. They have tremendous futures, and Al lets them get up there and present in front of the team and do all this stuff. So it's a really exciting room that, you know, I'm excited to watch them work together as the season progresses.
You never want to show too much in preseason, obviously. Said it after the game on Thursday, but when you have a new defense, you have a new coordinator, how are you evaluating what this defense is capable of before the bullets start flying?
Yeah, we just mental errors. We look at technique. We look at, you know, none of that stuff changes. So I think that just the communication, the overall communication, are all things you can evaluate. Then who can go out there and make some plays, make some one-on-one opportunities, who can tackle in space, who can cover, you know, in a one-on-one situation. And I was, you know, I thought in the second half of that game, the guys did a great job. You know, it's really, they held them to a field goal, and we got a penalty, and so they got the re-kick of field goal they missed, and they did a good job minimizing the points. They held them to another field goal, and then we got a penalty and gave up a 2-yard touchdown the next play. But I thought those guys responded well at halftime and bowed up and gave our team a chance to come back and fight to be in the game.
What do you like about Howard Cross?
He does how you wanted to do it. And so, again, you just watch a guy doing his best to play with technique and helping the defense and kind of doing his 1/11th over there to do his job and make plays and impact the offense and allow others to make plays by just doing your job. That's the life of a D tackle. Is not always a sexy life. Sometimes you're trying to take on 2 blocks and hold those 2 blocks so your backer can make a play or end can make a play. And I think, you know, he has shown the ability to do the things that we're asking those guys to do the dirty work and do it how we want it done. And that's a positive thing. He's gotten a lot of reps, you know, due to guys missing long-term practice, missing short-term practice. He's been a guy who's been available and he's gotten a lot of opportunity.
For a guy like Shamar, how difficult is it to get him up to speed, make up for lost time, and get him conditioned for week 1, week 2 when it can be hot, but yet not overdo it?
I think we're well on our way there. You know, I think Jerry's done a great job managing that and getting him the rips where he can. And there's been plenty of time since he's reported up to this point to really learn the offense and get in there and get extra time in there. So learn the defense, I guess. So I've been pleased with the progress that he's making, and I think we've got plenty of time to be where we want to be, especially before week 1 against Cleveland.
We've seen Trey talk with Shamar. We're talking about technique and stuff like that during practice. How valuable do you think that is in general for an established guy to go out of his way to help a young player?
There's a lot of experience there, and so I think anytime you can pass down that experience, players are open to receiving it, and it's valuable for our team.
Joseph Osai left early on Saturday and did practice Sunday. What's his time?
Yeah, that's just a day thing, you know. So again, we'll monitor some of those guys today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's a bigger workload day for us, so we'll continue to manage guys, trying to get some guys to tomorrow so we can get a lot of work done.
Are you indoor today?
We're inside today, yeah.
Any particular reason?
This week's a long stretch for us, and so initially when I looked, it was like 93 degrees, and I think it's backed off a little bit. But tomorrow's a big work day for us. I want to get great work outside. Today is some 2-minute stuff, so I'll be clean, great energy inside, and then tomorrow we'll move back out there.
You all had guys that were prominent over the years kind of miss chunks of training camp while they're dealing with various things, maybe with the business side of things. How have y'all as a coaching staff made sure that they kind of are integrated as quickly as possible once they're ready to get on the field?
It's all different. We're certainly not the only team that deals with this. You look around the league, it's most teams. And so I think it's just you keep the train moving and make sure everybody's up to speed. And then when you get that player back, whoever it is, however long they've been here, it's always different. I don't think I've encountered a situation that's the same since I've been here. They're all a little bit unique, a little bit different. And so, again, you just manage it best you can and make sure the team keeps moving forward.
Do you talk to just other coaches about that over the years, about like how do you deal with that? Is that something like you pick their brain?
I mean, maybe. I can't think of a specific example, but talk about a lot of things with a lot of guys.
You guys have played 8 OT games over the past 4 years. What are your thoughts on the new OT rules for regular season?
I don't think we've ever lost because we got the ball second, So for us, all the games have kind of played out naturally how this rule is going to be. So it hasn't. I don't believe at the San Francisco game did they get the ball first in overtime in 21?
You got it first.
We got it first, and then and then they went down and scored the touchdown. So that was the only one that was kind of lingering in my mind. But everything else, I think, has played out how this will play out.
So you won't change much per your philosophy?
There would not be much that would change with my philosophy now.
How is Mike Gesicki handling his rehab, and when do you expect him to be back out?
Good. We're just being patient with him. He's a guy that I want to make sure he's full speed before he gets back out there, not to push it too fast. So there's nothing I'm concerned about, and we'll continue just to monitor this week.
And how about BJ?
Same thing. BJ will start working back in some individual stuff today, but again, another pro that I'm not concerned about the timeline there.
Coach Michael Thomas, I saw him earlier today.
Oh, yeah.
A consummate professional, a player.
Thanks for the reminder that he's here. Yeah, I forgot.
Good thoughts about him.
Mike's one of the all-time great guys, and my first memory of Mike, whether I've shared it in this room or not, was we poached him off the practice squad from San Fran to Miami in 2013. And I think he got there on a Thursday. We played New England on a Sunday. We were making a playoff push, and he got thrust in the game in 2-minute drill at the end of the game against Tom Brady and picked it off in the end zone. And I remember it would have been like Lou and Blue Adams, I think, were just yelling the calls to him from the sideline to the field because he didn't know him. He had just gotten there 2 days earlier, wasn't expecting to play in the game, and you want to really create some positive juice for yourself and an organization. Show up on a Thursday and pick off the greatest quarterback on a Sunday and give your team a playoff hope with 2 games left. That's a great way to introduce yourself to the building. So I didn't know who he was while he was out there on the field, but everybody knew who he was the next day as he was parading through the hallways and everyone's high-fiving him and giving him hugs. And so I always liked Mike Thomas. Those who have been around him, he's always a positive. You know what you're getting every single day from Mike, which we've always preached to our guys. Be the same guy every day, so everybody knows what the expectation is. And so it's not shocking that he's still involved in football and still making an impact on people. And it's always a good time to see Michael Thomas back in the building. Okay, thank you.